This again is a very personal topic for me. And it all started last year when I made a trip back to Los Angeles. And it was a very difficult and a stressful trip. And mainly because I packed too many things in a 3 week time period, and it just became extremely stressful. And traveling during COVID was difficult. So when I got back to Florence, I became really ill. And I suffer from severe migraines. So whenever I get sick, I also get migraines with it. It just comes on the side as part of the package. And no matter what I did, I just wasn't getting better. And I became kind of depressed. So one day I was laying in bed on my laptop and help came from a very unexpected place. Harvey had shared a video with the Mastery Circle. And I'm the kind of person who would rather read something than watch something. But I was laying in bed, couldn't really read, so I clicked on this video and I watched it. And it completely changed my life. Now, this video is of an interview given by Lynn Levine, Dr. Lynn Levine, who's a psychotherapist. Some of you may have watched the video. And she actually agreed to speak to us, to the Mastery Circle, but bless her heart, Mary Grace has been trying to schedule her, and it's been extremely challenging. So that's why you guys get me instead of Lynn. I hope that I can do her justice. But before we watch the video, I want to thank Harvey. I'm so grateful to you for sharing this video with me. It totally changed my life. So let's watch the video together, and then I have some slides, and then we'll chat about it. If you guys could just give me a thumbs up and let me know that you can hear and see everything okay. Here we go.
And here I am today interviewing.
1 second, sorry.
Dr. Lynn Levine. She's 85 years old.
I'm going to be 86 next month.
Oh, wow. And she's a psychotherapist. And we met because of the following. I have discovered an 85-year-old jump out of a plane. And in my mind, I was thinking, how does this person have such vibrant health? So are you here ready to answer the questions as to how you live happy and healthy?
I love it.
Okay. So you weren't always this healthy.
No, in my 50s, I woke up stiff in the morning. I couldn't get out of bed without stretching, and I had physical conditions. I actually was diagnosed with glaucoma. I had a bad back every once in a while, carpal tunnel. This is not all at the same time, TMJ, and colds and the flu like everybody else. I wasn't a sick person. I wasn't known, but I had lots of ordinary diseases and conditions until I was actually 60.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
I got transformed in my head. I got that it is what I say it is, not what conditions or people say it is. And I took on, I'm always well. I didn't have the evidence for it. What I had was the ownership of it. I knew I was a creator. We are all creators. And we're either creating from the past or we're creating newly today from nothing. I took on being present now in life, creating what I wanted, which was I'm always well. And I just stood for it. I didn't pay any attention to symptoms because I knew my new cells, which love and adored me. I wake up in the morning going, you guys are great. would show off their perfect health and replace any cells that had conditions or limitations or suffering to it. And it happened. I got weller and weller and weller. And if somebody would say, I have a cold, I hope I'm not contagious, and I go, don't worry about it. I never get sick. I'm immune. And I believed it. And if I did have symptoms, I knew my new cells would replace. And I didn't make a disease out of it or get on Google and find out the terrible symptoms and how long it takes to heal and what percentage of people never make it or what. No, I wasn't interested in the bad history of suffering. I'm interested in the now history of creating happiness and health and wonder in life.
I love that mindset that you adopt. So much of what health is adopting that mindset that I am health and I am in control of my health. Now, were there any actions outside of, I know you were big on being.
It's who you're being, not what you're doing. I know plenty of people who are no longer with us, who are mega vitamins, who did this special thing. You know what? When you're doing something, it's in order to get to some place. So you're really a victim of it. I like taking ownership of it. I'm a creator. I'm a God Junior, just like you, only I'm willing to use it more, but that's okay.
So when you were being health, were there some actions that you ended up taking that you thought contributed to being ultimate health? Did you change the way you ate, or did your sleep change at all? Any actions from the being that contributed to your health?
I did start yoga. I started dancing because I was a klutz. I mean, you know, my body, I couldn't even have like rhythm to it. And now I'm like a child, like a child. If there's a song, I just move to it.
What kind of dancing did you take up?
Ballroom dancing. Yes. And what did I do? I take no medication, not even vitamins. I hate pills. My body doesn't want that stuff. And my body really doesn't care what I eat. It cares if I love what I'm eating. If I feel guilty about what I'm eating, you know, I'm inviting it to have a symptom because I shouldn't be doing it. I don't want to eat something I shouldn't. If I'm not going to eat it, I'm choosing not to eat it. If I'm going to eat it, rather than I'll gain weight or I'll get diabetes or I'll get bloated, it's not worth it. It's not worth the risk. My mind will create it for me. So my job is to love. My job is to love life, to love life is on my side, that my body adores me. Every cell is born perfect. And when I wake up in the morning like this. I used to wake up surprised that my body didn't have any aches or pains or stiffness. Now, this was already going in 60s and 70s and 80s. I used to wake up like, is it still perfect health? Do I still wake up like a baby with no aches, pains? And I stopped that because it was so. So I just wake up going, oh, you guys are the best. I adore my 37 trillion cells. They're the best cells in the world. Yours are too. I don't want to take that away from you.
It seems like you live in a state of gratitude.
Joy. Definitely gratitude. I am so grateful to be alive. People say, how are you? I go, excellent, awesome, amazing. Because when they say, how are you? It's a chance for me to create myself. My brother used to say, I'm as well as can be expected under these trying conditions.
Now, a few things for the viewers.
Yeah.
Dancing, you mentioned, it actually is linked to living longer, and it's also linked to keeping cognitive function throughout your life. So that's a great thing. You mentioned joy, love, gratitude. These are the emotions we had discussed with epigenetics researcher Stephen Cole at UCLA. Those things actually turn on genes that promote good health. So if you could figure out ways to tap into those emotional states, it'll turn your genes on, activate them to have you live longer. And so what are some of the things that spark these emotions for you? What are the things that you do that put you in these states?
I have a loving relationship with life. That life is on my side. The universe adores me. I'm a loved child of the universe. And I'm loved, I'm safe, and I'm able. And I own it, and I know it. And when I'm not, I am so responsible for getting back to it. I am totally responsible.
I love the fact that you use responsibility and choice and that mindset of the universe being on your side, because you could think of somebody, cutting you off or something bad happening, and you could take that as, oh my God, why me? But you can actually be responsible of, maybe that thing happened.
I did it for a year. I did it for a year. You reminded me. I spent a year dog training my mind to go from, I'd be on the freeway and somebody would cut me off and I'd think something bad about that guy. And then I would say, cancel. I forgive him. I forgive myself for judging him. I give him permission. He didn't see me. He's me in another form. God bless him. I did it for a year, as much as I could, until I was with some women. They were gossiping about another woman. And I said, well, I don't know. I like her. And one of them said, oh, Lynn, you like everybody. I went, okay, I can stop. I don't want to be a Pollyanna either.
But the fact that you took responsibility to shift how you took that situation, that's so important, because you choose, as much as you can choose to let that person go and be in gratitude for him anyway and have compassion for whatever day he's going through, the fact that you're able to do that and not be in the emotion of, my goodness, and have that road rage, that secretes cortisol in your body, and that actually adds to lots of chronic disease happening. This stress, this cortisol running through your body, that energy. So good for you that you have the decision of knowing that you have choice in the matter of everything that happens to you.
I love doing this interview with you. You're so smart. You're so knowledgeable. You can so well integrate the medicalness of what I'm doing. It's fun.
Am I a little cute too?
Yes.
Now, at the age of 85,
almost 86,
you came up with a book.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Okay, I came across research that said, in my search for happiness, that happy people believe in a loving God. And at that time I didn't, although I used to. But I wanted to be happy more than I wanted to be right that there is no God. So I created my own God, a do-it-yourself, non-denominational God whose job it is to love and adore me. I can do no wrong, and my warts are cute. And this actually went over years of building our relationship. And we argued about guilt and shame and blame and all the upsets that life has to offer. So I used to write down one-page conversations between Lynn and God, and I picked 100 individual pages. So it's 100 pages of, okay, God, let's talk. And you can open to any page and see if it relates to what's going on in your life. Enough people have done that to have me think there's something about that. Lynn Levine, 1N.
All right. So where do people find this?
Amazon.
We're going to include a link to this book down in the description below. So look for the link. And where do people find you on the web?
LynnLevine.com.
That's all the time we have for today. I want to thank Dr. Lynn Levine for joining us, letting us know that health is really our own responsibility.
It is what we say it is.
It is what we say it is. And it's not just eating the right things, sleeping right, exercising, stress reduction, very important, but how we think about the world and our choice.
And I think you're wonderful to do these videos. Thank you.
Thank you. Remember, you are your best medicine.
All right. Let's share screen again. Okay, so I kind of extracted some of the wisdom that I found important and valuable and put them into these slides. And well, let's see. Can you guys see all of my screen? Well, okay. So one of the things she talks about is this attitude of being versus doing. And she says, I'm a creator. We're all creators. We're either creating from the past or we are creating new today from nothing. It's who you're being, not what you're doing. When you're doing something, it's in order to get to someplace. So you're really a victim of it. I like taking ownership of it. I am a God Junior. It is what I say it is, not what conditions or people say it is. And I think this is so important because we're so busy doing that we forget to be. And we forget about the superpowers that we have. And she reminds us that it is what we say it is, not what the conditions or illnesses or anybody says. And then she talks about creating health and happiness and wonder. And she says some of these I've taken from her website, so it wasn't all from the video in case you're wondering. She says, apparently it's not what happens, but how we're programmed to react to what happens that determines happiness. Happy people usually remain happy, and unhappy people usually remain unhappy. I'm not interested in the bad history of suffering. I'm interested in the now history of creating happiness, health, and wonder in life. I took up I'm always well. I didn't have the evidence for it. What I had was the ownership of it. And this is kind of what I did. When I was really ill last year, I took up I'm always well as a mantra. And I repeated it so much that it kind of got stuck in my head. And to this day, I say it to myself all the time. And especially, for example, when I have migraines, I constantly repeat it to myself, I'm always well, I'm always well. And it doesn't take my migraines away, but it takes my suffering away. Because it reaffirms that I have the power to react to my illness differently, and I'm not a victim of it. And then she says, when someone asks, how are you? It's a chance for me to create myself. I think this is so important because a lot of times I would say, if somebody asked me, how are you? I would go through all the list of reasons of things that happened today. I don't know, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I woke up with a headache.
Can we mute everybody?
I have to do a lot of work, all those things. And then I answer, oh, I'm okay. Whereas if I were to answer, I'm excellent.
It's coming from Sarah, and I think the fan may be blowing the papers or something. We're hearing a lot of rustling, Sarah.
Oh, I'll turn off the fan. Hold on.
Good pickup, thank you.
Better. So, so when I say that I'm excellent, then it kind of forces me to go through all the reasons that I have to feel excellent, to feel well. And it really helps raise my vibration from a lower frequency to a higher frequency of health and happiness and wonder, as she talks about. Then she talks about having an attitude of joy and gratitude. And she says, my job is to love. Now think about that for a second. Like, really, if we really take that in, my job is to love life. If everyone had that attitude, what kind of a world would we live in? If we all thought that our job was to love each other, to love life, to love the earth, I think it's really powerful. And then she says, I have a loving relationship with life. Life is on my side. I am a loving child of the universe. My body adores me. Every cell is born perfect. I am loved, I am safe, and I am able, and I own it. And when I'm not, I'm responsible for getting back to it. And she also says, happiness is gratitude for the ordinary. Another thing that she does that I think is really important is when she talks about the driver cutting her off. And she gets angry at the driver, and then she immediately says, cancel. And to me, this is energy hygiene. It's, as an energetic being having this human life experience, the residue from these experiences can remain in our energetic body and affect us physically long after the experience is gone. So by saying cancel and understanding that that person didn't mean to cut her off, and she says he's a child of God as well, and I forgive him and I forgive myself for getting angry at him. She's taking back her energy that she sent his way, the dense, dark, heavy energy, and she's giving back the guy's energy to him. And that's good energy hygiene, which is something that I'm really try to practice daily, because I think it's really important for our physical and emotional well-being. Clearing the lower vibrational emotions from energy field can have an impact on our health. And the intention obviously is very important to clear the heavier, lower vibrational energy that may accumulate, especially when the interaction is less than pleasant. This, of course, can be a morning topic in itself, so I don't want to get too deep into it, but I think it's very important. And another thing that she talks about is she says that I wanted to be happy more than I wanted to be right. And years ago, I had a great mentor in my professional career. And one time I was really upset because they were accusing me of being wrong about something, and I really wanted to see this thing happen and go through. And he said to me, do you want to win, or do you want to be right? And I kind of stopped and went, well, I want to win. I want to get this thing done. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. And over the years, I've applied this to a lot of different things. You know, do I want to be healthy, or do I want to be right? Do I want to be happy, or do I want to be right? Do I want to fill in the blank, or do I want to be right? And I think what it does for me is it sort of helps me differentiate between my ego and soul. What my ego wants, which is to be right, and what my soul wants. And this way I can make a more conscious and informed decision. So a lot of what she talks about is taking ownership and responsibility for our own health, for our own happiness, our own thoughts, our own emotions, and our own energy. Just to sum up. And finally, here are a few more quotes from her website that I really liked. She says, "Harmony is when life is our dancing partner. When present, we have the innocence of a child and the wisdom of the ages. Inner peace created as a habit during ordinary times serves in a stressful times. And finally, you only live now once." So now I would like to open it to everyone for any feedback, comments, questions. Thank you. Diana.
Oh, thank you. This was fantastic. I realized that basically this is what I practice, and I do have the most amazing health, and I do say cancel and all those things, but I do have some neuropathy in my feet, and I went to see this body worker who's just incredible, and she said to me this time, she said, "Diana, you have a new job, and your job is to talk to your cells. They are smart. And what you want to say to them is to, since they're always renewing themselves, to return to their original pattern instead of the situation that they find themselves in now." And I loved it. I loved everything she said. It's like my whole philosophy, but I love this new insight of being able to direct the cells into returning to their original pattern. I think, and I always say every time I eat something that is an indulgence, I say everything I eat is good for me. And I think that this is really that philosophy has helped me so much. And thank you for this. I love this new woman. I just ordered her book.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Thomas Griggs?
Yeah, thank you. For some reason, spontaneously, I've taken on a meditation of all of my cells are X or Y or Z. And I've had a saying for a number of years. Somebody asked me how I was doing, and I would say, parts of me are excellent. And it always gets a laugh, so I keep saying it, but I'm going to give it up for obvious reasons. So today I lose one mantra and I reinforce another one that's been trying to emerge. All of my cells are excellent, not just parts of me. So thank you so much. I think this entire presentation explains why you're so lovely. So thank you.
Thank you. Samuel.
I started driving when I turned 16. When I turned 20, I learned about meditation. And I made a conscious decision that whenever I'm driving, it would be like a meditation. And over 50 years has passed, and I've lived my life that way. When I drive, I am in the zone. And when I'm running late, I just chant divine right timing, divine right timing, divine right timing. And any anxiety I might have for that turns into bringing me into the eternal now, which is all that is. And it always works out. And I would say 97% of the time react to bad drivers. I drive defensively, and it's worked out really well.
Thank you, Samuel. Hadia.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for bringing this information forth. Some of you have heard when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So I'm ready to hear this information on a deeper level. I've been hearing it for a while, and I'm experiencing health. I'm working on reframing everything in the positive. So my soul wants to experience apparently cancer at this time in my life, and I've been practicing choice of thought and feeling and action and staying present and not allowing my ego to take me to the dark night of my soul. I've done that in my 20s and 30s, and I'm over it. I'm like, you know what? Don't need to do that. I'm 54. I'm good. So I've been practicing staying present, and I'm healthy. And years ago, those of us who did CHH at USM, we got to talk to God. And I was like, God, why does it hurt? And God said, your soul wants to have those experiences. It doesn't have to hurt. You can just experience it. And I'm present in the moment saying, okay, I'm experiencing this cancer and I get to experience chemo and radiation. So I'm playing bigger in a different arena that I wouldn't want to, and I'm showing up gracefully and grateful, and Mary Grace showing up to support me. And I'm grateful to you, Mary Grace, and thank you for inviting me to this. And Sarah, thank you. I love you guys. Oh, one last thing. If you think of me, just send loving vibration, healing thoughts. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hadia. Amy.
Excellent job, Sarah. One of my favorite sayings is from Emma Curtis Hopkins, and I say it all the time, is there's good for you when you ought to have it. And if something's happening, then I just say there's good for you when you ought to have it. And it literally clears any lower vibration that could just pushes it away from you, or it really works for me. So thank you.
Thank you. Mim. You're muted, Mim.
I so appreciated this, and it resonated with me so deeply. I've had 3 heart attacks, 5 knee surgeries, back surgery, a pacemaker, and I keep thinking, well, whatever is wrong, let's just fix it. And I remember when I was going through the knee surgeries, and Mary Grace would say to me, oh, it's temporary, it's temporary. And I so appreciate the idea that all my cells love me. I really think they do. After the first heart attack, the nurse was in my room, and he was asking me a lot of questions. And he said to me, how would you rate your health? And I said, it's excellent. I just got it fixed. So now it's excellent. So every time I have a procedure, it makes it excellent again. It doesn't diminish it. It just repairs what needed repair. And a friend of mine, I thought she was my friend, gave me a birthday card once that said, I'm wishing you to continue in reasonably good health. And I was so insulted. I said, what do you mean reasonably? I'm in perfect health. Don't underestimate me. So I just love this presentation, and it just brings everything to mind in a very tangible way that I think I've been living all along. So thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Harvey.
Well,
you're muted. Oh,
who you know me as Harvey is Harvey now. It wasn't Harvey a while ago. Lynn Levine has been my mentor and therapist for years in the old days. I haven't seen her in maybe 10 years, but prior to that, I saw her a lot. And I too, anybody says, how are you? I'm great. And they say, why are you always so happy? I say, well, every time someone asks me that question. I make a declaration that moment that I am great. So I'm always great. So I just love Lynn, and she's just the greatest. And hope to see her come and speak to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Harvey. I'm really grateful that you shared this video. She's very, very inspiring, and I do hope too that we can schedule her to come speak to us. Maybe you put in the good word for us. Oh, Tim.
Yeah, and also Michael has his hand up. I'm with a group and we're studying in depth Michael Singer's work. And Michael Singer's a genius, the way he explains things. And he has something called he explains something called the default mode. What's the default mode? The default mode is when you just get lost in your thoughts and you don't have a consciousness so much, all your consciousness gets sucked into your thoughts. And what are your thoughts? Your thoughts have a lot of pain in there. There's a lot of suffering. There's, I got to protect this. There's ego. There's, I got to get this and I don't want that. And that's the default mode. And Buddha said, people suffer and they suffer because of this. There's no consciousness that separates you from the default mode. So what we saw today is the most exquisite way to separate yourself from the default mode. I would say there's one step before that, and that is what she did for a year, which was when any of the default mode came up, she canceled it and replaced it with something. I think that's the step before, or maybe in parallel to what she taught. So very good, Sarah. Love the presentation.
Thank you, Tim. Michael and then Bill.
Yeah, I have to unmute. You just briefly, your presentation just really felt like it had a great deal of intuitive truth to it, because I didn't realize I'd been living this way for decades. But there you go. People would say that, you know, I never got sick, and I don't. I don't get sick because I don't really know the reason for it. But my wife would teach in the school district and get every flu in the world. And I would sit right next to her and never get anything. And so I don't know if it's a matter of attitude or physiology or whatever, but I had an attitude of not getting sick. And so I did not get sick. But the thing that always struck me in my family was that we had people in the extended family for whom why they got sick and how they got sick was almost a matter of pride. They would talk about, oh, I get flus in the winter. I get this and that and the other thing. And they would talk about it constantly as if getting sick was something to be proud of. And I always thought it was a kind of a thing where people were sort of consciously or subconsciously reducing expectations. Like, well, if I get sick, nobody will expect more of me, or some sort of thing like that. It was a kind of institutional way of like, well, if I get sick, you can't ask me to do much. But it was really interesting how what Dr. Levine was talking about is that if you proactively live positively and have a full life, you can expect more of yourself. So thank you. That was great. That was really great, Sarah.
Thank you, Michael. Bill.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah, for this, for bringing her wisdom to us, and her wisdom and spirit, and then just passing it on to us so we can enjoy and drink from it. I was thinking about the road rage thing, and it took me, for her, it was a year. It took me 2 years of conscious effort to overcome that. So that was so valuable, and just for my spirit and my physical health too. And you know, it's interesting that comes that can take other forms too, like the traffic on the internet. I got an email. Part of us, you know, it was like 80 of us on this email that a guy I know sent, and it said, the subject line was, "You can't get out of a trap if you don't know you're in one. Remove the hypnotic headset placed upon you by the system, misspellings and all, but that was the subject line. And these people started, responding, get me off your list, take me out of here. And one guy said, I'm going to go to the FBI, I'm going to get you and, report you. And like somebody came in and said, it's just have a little patience with him. He's an actor trying to self-promote himself, and he got a little bit over the line. And I wrote back to the woman and I said, thank you for injecting a moderating touch into the conversation. And it's the kind of thing that just an everyday sort of thing, but like, where do you draw the line? And he went over the line. And so anyway, I'm just thinking of other applications for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. Whitney.
Oh, well, Sarah, this is amazing, amazing morning. Thank you very much for bringing it to us. I think the one thing I loved was I took prolific notes. Happy people always believe in a loving God. And there's a lot of concepts of God around, a lot of goofy concepts of God. And but a loving God it's been a transformational thing for me, that life is on my side, God's on my side, my cells are on my side, and that we are God Junior, and that we are creators of our lives, and just delicious. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Whitney. Okay, Carolyn, then Linda.
Okay, hi. About this road rage. When someone tears around me or backs up behind me and so on, I just think, this person is feeling so desperate. It's like when you're upset with something and you can't find the words, so you hit someone. I just hurt for the person that's so desperate. And the thing is, I just applied this to hurting near everyone I can think of. It was very hard with Hitler. But the thing is where if we just want to think in terms of the golden rule. So we want to respect each person being where they are, and that we're all godlings and doing the best we can at the time. And sometimes it's hard to remember that, but they're hurting, and hurt people. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
My pleasure. Linda.
Yes, thank you. I do a lot of things to help myself, but there's always this kind of feeling of, I'll do it today, but not, I'm here and it's well. This is very different and very welcomed.
Hey, Julianne, and then Paul or Bonnie.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I'm thrilled that you shared such an inspiring person and video. And I'm very in line and have been for years with what she teaches. But I want to acknowledge you, because the most inspiring thing to me was you sharing how you use that and how it's worked for you even when you have migraines. And that's just so moving to me. As a therapist and a person who's suffering, I've been very involved in the whole sort of debate about, well, what if it isn't true? And I'm saying stuff that isn't really true. And doctors who say they don't want to give false hope to people about, getting better. I mean, to me, it's just been all really disturbing. And you took me to another level today of just like, doesn't matter if it's not true. I can make it true. Like the I am the creator. And I just love that because I understand God about having a loving God, but having cells that love you, that's like that's new. That's new to me. I just love that. I'm gonna have a dance with my cells loving me and me loving them. And I'm very grateful to you and your sharing your vulnerability. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you. Um, Paul or Bonnie, and then Patricia, and then I believe we have to wrap up.
Okay, as you were giving that presentation, I thought of two things. Every time I go to the pharmacy for one reason or another, they want to give me a flu shot. And my response is, I never get the flu. I don't need a flu shot. And you just kind of taught me how important that attitude is, and I'm going to apply it to a number of other things. I mean, when I teach my leaders, I tell them we can only create what we can conceive. And if you can conceive it and the team behind you conceive it, they can create it. And thank you for giving me something else to conceive and create. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I really loved it. I'm going to watch many of her videos. I noticed she has a lot of them. I remember one day when I arrived at the clinic to see my doctor, the young man checking me in asked me, "How are you doing?" And I said, I am healthy, but I just happen to have cancer. And I said, my cousins are the same age are complaining of arthritis, of this and that. I don't have any of that. So I'll do chemo and radiation. Thank God that we have that. It'll be temporary and I'll move on. And here I am. And the other piece is, as a side effect of chemo, I got neuropathy in my hands and in my feet. And there was a door, a locked door I could not open. And I knew it was my neuropathy. And I talked to my hands and said, please, cells, work with me. I need to open this door. And then since I started doing that, I can open that door. So thank you so much. Lovely presentation, Sara.
Thank you.